This video uses AI-generated imagery and visualizations to illustrate historical events. For 50 years, over 120 governments believed they were sending their most secret messages in perfect safety. They were wrong. Every single word was being read. Iran, Argentina, Libya, the Vatican, India, Pakistan. 120 nations, allies, adversaries, neutral states, all compromised. All paying the CIA for the privilege of being spied upon. This is the story of Operation Rubicon, the most audacious intelligence operation of the 20th century. And it was hiding in plain sight, inside a perfectly ordinary Swiss company. Crypto AG, founded in 1952, headquartered in the Swiss canton of Zug. To the outside world, the world's most trusted manufacturer of encryption machines. In reality, a wholly owned subsidiary of the CIA. But to understand how the CIA came to own a Swiss encryption company, you need to go back to a man named Boris Hagelin and to a friendship forged in wartime Washington. Boris Hagelin was born in 1892 in the Russian Empire, the son of a Swedish oil engineer. He was a brilliant inventor, a shrewd businessman, and by 1940, a man running out of time. When the Nazis invaded Norway in April 1940, Hagelin fled to the United States. In his luggage, the prototype of a small, hand-cranked cipher machine called the C-38. It would change everything. In Washington, Hagelin demonstrated the C-38 to the U.S. Army Signal Corps. The Americans were impressed. More than impressed. They licensed the design, renamed it the M209, and mass-produced it at the Smith Corona typewriter factory in Syracuse, New York. 140,000 M209 units were built. American soldiers carried them into every theater of World War II, and Hagelin collected royalties, netting him the equivalent of nearly $2 million. But more valuable than the money was the relationship. During his years in the United States, Hagelin became close personal friends with Army Colonel William Friedman, the man the NSA would later call the father of modern American cryptology. Friedman was a legend. He had broken the Japanese purple cipher in World War II, arguably the most consequential act of cryptanalysis in American history. And he saw in Hagelin not just a contractor, but a partner. In 1952, Hagelin moved his company, now called Crypto AG, to Steinhausen, Switzerland, officially to escape Sweden's high taxes and restrictive export laws. In practice, to plant it in neutral territory, perfectly positioned to sell to everyone. And sell to everyone they did: Iran, Libya, Egypt, Argentina, Italy, the Vatican, India, Pakistan, Yugoslavia, NATO allies, and Warsaw Pact neighbors alike, all queuing to purchase what Crypto AG promised was unbreakable encryption. By the 1950s, Crypto AG had grown from a small workshop into a global enterprise. Revenue exploded from 100,000 Swiss francs in the early years to 14 million francs by the 1970s. The machines were everywhere. But even before Crypto AG became the world's most trusted name in encryption, the United States had already begun quietly corrupting it. The gentleman's agreement between Hagelin and Friedman dated back to 1954. It was never written down. There was no contract, no signature, just an understanding. Hagelin would supply the NSA with complete technical specifications for every machine he built. He would tell them which countries were buying which models. And crucially, he would deny his most secure machines to certain countries. The nations on that list would receive cipher equipment that the NSA could crack. The nations not on the list got the real thing. The NSA even wrote the operations manuals for some CX-52 machines sold to targeted countries, ensuring those governments would configure them suboptimally, reducing the work needed to break their traffic from impossible to merely routine. In 1960, the CIA formalized the arrangement, replacing the NSA as Hagelin's primary handler under a licensing operation codenamed SPARTAN. Hagelin received $600,000 upfront and $75,000 every year. Imagine you are Boris Hagelin in 1967. You are 75 years old. You are wealthy beyond most men's dreams, and you are approached by two visitors with a proposition that will define your legacy or destroy it. French intelligence officer André Bühler had approached Hagelin in Paris with an offer: sell Crypto AG to a joint French-German partnership. Hagelin listened carefully, and then he picked up the phone and called the CIA. The CIA moved immediately. France was shut out. West Germany's BND was brought in as a 50-50 partner, and Siemens, one of West Germany's most powerful corporations, was used as the public front for the purchase. On the 4th of June 1970, Boris Hagelin signed the papers. Crypto AG, the company he had built over 5 decades, passed to the Bundesnachrichtendienst and the Central Intelligence Agency for 25 million Swiss francs. 8 days later, the CIA and BND signed their own memorandum of understanding. Each held 50%. The operation was renamed Thesaurus, Greek for treasury. Crypto AG was internally codenamed MINERVA. The genius of the operation was its simplicity. Crypto AG did not need to change. It kept its Swiss headquarters, its Swiss employees, its Swiss reputation for neutrality. The only thing that changed was invisible: the mathematics inside the machines. The NSA designed the algorithms embedded in Crypto AG's new electronic cipher machines. Motorola and Siemens provided covert technical support and components. And deep inside each device, imperceptible to any buyer, was a deliberate mathematical weakness. Not a backdoor in the conventional sense, subtler than that. The encryption appeared mathematically sound. It would defeat any amateur attacker. But the NSA, and only the NSA, knew the precise structure of the weakness. They could read it as easily as plain text. And this was not limited to adversaries. America's stated neutrality made no difference inside Operation Rubicon. The machines read by the CIA included traffic from Italy, Spain, Portugal, Turkey, Belgium, NATO allies, along with Iran, Iraq, Libya, and every major Latin American government. By 1977, NSA analysts were reading 57% of all foreign encrypted traffic that passed through their Intercept stations. Without MINERVA, that figure had been 29%. Crypto AG had nearly doubled the NSA's window into the world. By 1980, 96% of that Intercept traffic was coming from electronic sources, the very generation of machines the NSA had designed. And the CIA's own internal history, later declassified, called it simply the intelligence coup of the century. Consider what that meant in practice. In 1978, President Jimmy Carter sat down with Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin at Camp David. The negotiations to broker a Middle East peace deal were extraordinarily sensitive. What Sadat did not know was that the Carter administration was reading every encrypted cable he sent back to Cairo, every negotiating position, every private instruction to his delegation. The Americans knew Egypt's bottom line before Sadat spoke a single word at the table. 8 years later, in April 1986, a bomb tore through La Belle Discotheque in West Berlin. 2 American soldiers and a Turkish civilian were killed. 79 people were injured. Reagan wanted answers. He got them immediately. The CIA had intercepted diplomatic traffic between Tripoli and the Libyan embassy in East Berlin via Libyan Crypto AG machines. The messages were unambiguous. Libyan intelligence had planned the attack and was congratulating itself on the results. 10 days later, Reagan announced on national television that he had, quote, irrefutable evidence linking Muammar Gaddafi to the bombing. He then ordered airstrikes on Tripoli and Benghazi. 107 people were killed. Reagan never said how he knew. The word crypto AG was never mentioned. But the moment he said irrefutable evidence in public, intelligence analysts in Iran and elsewhere began asking a very uncomfortable question. How could America be so certain? Meanwhile, in 1982, Argentina and Britain went to war over the Falkland Islands in the South Atlantic. Argentina's military communicated through HC-500 and HC-520 cipher machines, both manufactured by Crypto AG, both designed by the NSA. The CIA was reading Argentina's military dispatches and diplomatic cables in real time. That intelligence was passed directly to GCHQ, Britain's Signals Intelligence Agency, and from there to the commanders of the British Task Force. Britain's stated justification for the Falklands campaign was sovereignty. But Britain also had something else, a real-time intelligence advantage of incalculable value derived from the cipher machines Argentina believed were protecting them. After the war, Argentine cryptographers grew suspicious. Suspiciously specific British intelligence decisions during the conflict seemed to track Argentine movements too precisely. They began examining their HC-500 machines. The CIA moved to contain the damage. They dispatched a Swedish cryptomathematician known inside the operation as ATHENA, his real name Kjell Ove Widman, to Buenos Aires. His job, convince Argentina their machines were unbreakable. Widman met with Argentine cryptographic officials. He ran technical demonstrations. He produced analysis. He told them the problem lay with their voice scramblers, not the cipher machines. Argentina accepted his explanation and continued buying Crypto AG equipment. Widman had lied directly to the faces of Argentine intelligence officers while the CIA was still reading their traffic. He served in this crisis management role for 15 years, from 1980 to 1995, under the CIA cryptonym ATHENA. But keeping the secret required more than just managing suspicious governments. It required managing suspicious employees. And in 1977, Crypto AG's own head of research and development came dangerously close to exposing everything. His name was Peter Frutiger. He was Crypto AG's most technically capable cryptographic engineer. And in the mid-1970s, he made a discovery that put his career, and possibly his life, in danger. Frutiger had found the weaknesses. He didn't know they were deliberate. He simply recognized flawed cryptography when he saw it. And being a professional, he fixed them. Twice. In the MCC 314 in 1974, in the CSE 280 voice encryptor in 1976. Each time he improved a machine's security, panic rippled through the CIA-BND management chain. NSA controllers operating through CIA Station Munich, codenamed Spaceport, ordered the improvements reversed. Frutiger was overruled by his own superiors for reasons no one would explain. On the 10th of March 1977, Peter Frutiger was fired. The same day he was fired, he walked to the Swiss Ministry of Justice and filed formal criminal charges. Crypto AG was selling deliberately compromised cipher machines to foreign governments. The Swiss Bundespolizei investigated. They examined Crypto AG machines. They found that, and this is their own wording, the algorithms were not what they should be. But the evidence, they concluded, was insufficient for prosecution. Why insufficient? Because Swiss military intelligence officials, who were fully aware of the CIA-BND operation, had quietly steered the investigation away from conclusions. One official privately told the CIA he could handle 4 of the 5 cryptomathematicians likely to examine the machines. Switzerland, officially neutral, officially uninvolved, was, in fact, complicit. Its intelligence services had known about Operation Rubicon since at least 1993. Its officials had actively protected it. The country that sold neutrality to the world was anything but. Frutiger's warning died quietly in Swiss bureaucracy. The operation continued. The machines kept selling. And by 1988, the CIA was decrypting 19,000 Iranian messages in a single year, 80 to 90% of Iran's entire diplomatic traffic. Then came the crack in the foundation. On the 7th of August 1991, the body of former Iranian Prime Minister Shapur Bakhtiar was found murdered in his Paris apartment. He had been stabbed 26 times. The previous day, one day before the body was discovered, Iranian intelligence had transmitted a coded message to its embassies via crypto AG machines asking a simple question: is Bakhtiar dead? Western services intercepted and decoded it instantly. Iran now knew. Their most sensitive diplomatic cipher machines had been compromised. The evidence was irrefutable, and they needed someone to blame. They found him 6 months later on a routine sales trip to Tehran. Hans Bühler was 51 years old. He had spent his career as Crypto AG's top salesman across the Arab world, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf states. He was passionate about his work. He believed in the product. He had absolutely no idea it was rigged. On the 14th of March 1992, Bühler flew to Tehran for a standard sales call. He had a return ticket for 6 days later. He would not use it. Iranian authorities arrested him on charges of espionage, bribery, and illegal contacts. He was held with 3 others, including his local distributor. For the CIA, this was a crisis of the first order. Not because Bühler knew the secret. He didn't. But because if Iran's interrogators were thorough enough, they might find a thread that led back to the operation. The CIA scrambled to assess exactly how much Bühler knew. The answer was a relief: nothing. For 9 months, Hans Bühler was interrogated 3 times a day. He told his captors everything he knew about his Iranian business contacts, information that led to 15 additional arrests. But on the question of cipher machine backdoors, he could tell them nothing, because there was nothing to tell. Iran set bail at $1 million. The CIA agreed, in principle, to split the cost with the BND. Then the White House intervened. It was deemed legally and politically impossible for the CIA to pay ransom for a Swiss civilian. The CIA's contribution was blocked. The BND paid the entire $1 million alone, transferred through a covert West German financial mechanism called the Bundesvermögensverwaltung, a shadow treasury that channeled classified funds without parliamentary oversight. On the 5th of January 1993, Hans Bühler landed at Zurich Airport. He was gaunt. He was traumatized. And at the arrival gate, a journalist who had been tracking the story slipped a business card into his coat pocket. Crypto AG fired Bühler in March 1993 against the explicit wishes of the CIA and BND, who wanted to keep him close and contained. The firing was the worst decision the operation ever made. Bühler found that business card in his pocket. He called the number. It was answered by Peter Frutiger, the same R&D engineer the CIA had fired in 1977 for making the machines too secure. The 2 men who had come closest to the truth found each other. On the 23rd of March 1994, Hans Bühler and Peter Frutiger appeared on Swiss and Austrian national television. Bühler recounted his 9 months in an Iranian prison. Frutiger appeared in silhouette, his voice digitally distorted, and stated, "My life might be in danger." The broadcast reached hundreds of thousands of viewers across Switzerland and Austria. For the first time, the possibility of CIA manipulation of Crypto AG was on mainstream television. Inside Langley, the panic was extraordinary. But the operation survived. The CIA's strategy: bury Bühler in legal process. A restraining order was obtained, then a lawsuit. A settlement was reached in 1995. Bühler would declare there were no grounds for his accusations. The CIA paid his legal bills up to 150,000 Swiss francs. The Bühler affair had one lasting casualty: the CIA-BND partnership. The Germans had been forced to pay the entire $1 million bail. They resented the White House veto that left them exposed. By December 1993, the BND had negotiated its exit. The CIA bought out the BND's 50% share for $17.1 million, paid in December 1993. From July 1994 onwards, Crypto AG and every government's most secret communications belonged exclusively to the Central Intelligence Agency. The operation continued for another 24 years. Through Clinton, through Bush, through Obama, through Trump's first term, the world changed around it. The Cold War ended. The Internet transformed communications. The war on terror reshaped intelligence priorities. And Crypto AG kept selling. In January 2018, with little fanfare, Crypto AG was liquidated. Its assets were split into two new companies: Scion Security for the Swiss domestic market and Crypto International AG for international sales, acquired by Swedish entrepreneur Andreas Linde. The CIA never announced the closure. The liquidation of MINERVA generated no press release, no congressional statement, no acknowledgement. The operation simply stopped as quietly as it had begun. Then, on the 11th of February 2020, everything changed. The Washington Post, Germany's ZDF television, and Switzerland's SRF public broadcaster published a joint investigation. They had obtained a declassified CIA history, 280 pages, that confirmed everything. The CIA history's own conclusion, now public, was direct. It was the intelligence coup of the century. Foreign governments were paying good money to the United States and West Germany for the privilege of having their most secret communications read by at least two, and possibly as many as 5 or 6, foreign countries. The reaction from client nations was immediate and furious. Jordan called it a grave breach of trust. Italy opened inquiries. Switzerland launched a parliamentary investigation that confirmed Swiss intelligence had known about the operation since at least 1993 and had protected it. The diplomatic fallout extended even to Sweden. Switzerland had imposed export controls on Crypto International AG following the revelations. Sweden canceled plans to mark 100 years of diplomatic relations with Switzerland in protest. Two countries bound together by one company's secret. Hans Bühler never learned the truth. He died on the 27th of July 2018, 5 months after Crypto AG was liquidated and 18 months before the public exposure. The man who came closest to unraveling the secret died still under the shadow of the settlement that had silenced him. What does Operation Rubicon mean? Considered purely as an intelligence achievement, it was without parallel. For nearly 7 decades, the United States possessed the private communications of over 120 governments, allies, adversaries, and everyone in between. It shaped wars, the Falklands, Panama, Libya. It shaped negotiations, Camp David. It shaped the surveillance apparatus of entire nations. Mexico built its modern intelligence infrastructure, in part through its CIA partnership. It shaped who lived and who died, though most of that will remain classified forever. And it exposed something profound about the architecture of trust in the international system. Every government that purchased a Crypto AG machine had done its due diligence. Switzerland, neutral. The company, private, commercially reputable, technically sophisticated. Due diligence meant nothing. Swiss neutrality was a fiction. Commercial reputations were engineered. And the most trusted product in the global communications security market was a precision instrument for mass surveillance. Academics who have studied Rubicon, including intelligence historians Richard Aldrich and Eric Schmidt-Einboom, describe it as a missing link in the history of signals intelligence. the bridge between Bletchley Park's wartime code-breaking and the Snowden-era revelations about NSA mass surveillance. Because the logic of Operation Rubicon did not die in 2018. Every modern debate about encryption backdoors, whether governments should have the ability to access encrypted communications, is Rubicon's direct descendant. The question was never whether it could be done. Operation Rubicon proved it could. The question was always whether, when governments demand that private companies build exploitable weaknesses into their products, those governments can be trusted not to use those weaknesses against allies, innocents, and the very concept of private communication itself. Operation Rubicon's answer, confirmed across 7 decades, 4 American presidencies after the Cold War ended, and 120 nations, was unambiguous. They cannot. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please like the video and subscribe to Chronicles of Eris to never miss